world. So there are a lot of challenges also, because since it's a new technology, there are no much rules or regulations available on what to follow. For example, if you are in an oil field, then depending upon who owns the oil field, they have their own regulations. So I think slowly there are systems in, like we are bidding for some projects for Aramco. So they don't have a certain set of rule where an unmanned vehicle can go into their territory. So that is the challenges we are facing. In terms of cold wreck, there is a lot of rules speculated by them. Also, the current regulation says that the vehicle has to be on the line of sight. It cannot go beyond the line of sight. So always there has to be a support vehicle, helping it to support that it doesn't go out of the line of sight. If that line of sight criteria is removed, then the UNICAT can be programmed and it can go for 6 to 7 days, complete the survey and come back to the base. So I think Q&A will be later. Thank you very much, everyone. If you have any...
It's now time for a short tea break. But before the tea break, we'll be having a raffle for the Wolf Air Mask. And one of the lucky winner can take home 1 unit of the Wolf Air Mask. I request all our guests to kindly move towards the networking area and enjoy your tea. We shall resume our conference at sharp 11:20. Thank you.
Attracted to positively charged airborne particles and aerosol droplets and attaches to them in large numbers, rendering them inactive. Specially designed for enclosed spaces, Wolf Air Mask is environment friendly, scientifically proven technology, and a must-have product in these trying times. This innovative product ensures your safety by sterilizing the air you breathe. The negative ions produced by Wolf Air Mask also rejuvenate you and enhances your liveliness, which is commonly found in naturally occurring phenomena like waterfalls and tidal frictions. Wolf Air Mask is certified by different labs across the world to neutralize 99.9% of the microbes found in our environment, and also recognized by various enterprises for its unique performance. Whether you're at home, office, classrooms, malls, and movie halls, this device will keep you and your loved ones protected round the clock. Sometimes being negative is great. Wolf Air Mask. Breathe fear-free. The world is not the same anymore. From a free world, it changed to a fearful one. After thorough analysis of these challenging times, and as a need of the hour, All About Innovations has come up with a unique solution to help you breathe fear-free. Wolf Air Mask Iron Thruster Protection is a unique solution that has been designed to safely and effectively disinfect the active transmission of microbes present in our surroundings in real time. Virus or bacteria get attached or planted to the host using their surface proteins. Using these proteins, they ravage its host and cause damage. Wolf Air Mask works by generating negatively charged ions. These ions are electrostatically attracted to positively charged airborne particles and aerosol droplets and attaches to them in large numbers, rendering them inactive. Specially designed for enclosed spaces, Wolf Air Mask is environment friendly, scientifically proven technology, and a must-have product in these trying times. This innovative product ensures your safety by sterilizing the air you breathe. The negative ions produced by Wolf Air Mask also rejuvenate you and enhances your liveliness, which is commonly found in naturally occurring phenomena like waterfalls and tidal frictions. Wolf Air Mask is certified. Its unique performance. Whether you're at home, office, classrooms, malls, and movie halls. This device will keep you and your loved ones protected round the clock. Sometimes being negative is great. Wolf Air Mask. Breathe fear-free. The world is not the same anymore. From a free world, it changed to a fearful one. After thorough analysis of these challenging times, and as a need of the hour, All About Innovations has come up with a unique solution to help you breathe fear-free. Wolf Air Mask Iron Thruster Protection is a unique solution that has been designed to safely and effectively disinfect the active transmission of microbes present in our surroundings in real time. Virus or bacteria get attached or planted to the host using their surface proteins. Using these proteins, they ravage its host and cause damage. Wolf Air Mask works by generating negatively charged ions. These ions are electrostatically attracted to positively charged airborne particles and aerosol droplets and attaches to them in large numbers, rendering them inactive. Specially designed for enclosed spaces, Wolf Air Mask is environment-friendly, scientifically proven technology, and a must-have product in these trying times. This innovative product ensures your safety by sterilizing the air you breathe. The negative ions produced by Wolf Air Mask also rejuvenate you and enhances your liveliness, which is commonly found in naturally occurring phenomena like waterfalls and tidal frictions. Wolf Air Mask is certified by different labs across the world to neutralize 99.9% of the microbes found in our environment, and also recognized by various enterprises for its unique performance. Whether you're at home, office, classrooms, malls, and movie halls, this device will keep you and your loved ones protected round the clock. Sometimes being negative is great. Wolf Air Mask. Breathe fear-free. The world is not the same anymore. From a free world, it changed to a fearful one. After thorough analysis of these challenging times, and as a need of the hour, All About Innovations has come up with a unique solution to help you breathe fear-free. Wolf Air Mask Iron Thruster Protection is a unique solution that has been designed to safely and effectively disinfect the active transmission of microbes present in our surroundings in real time. Virus or bacteria get attached or planted to the host using their surface proteins. Using these proteins, they ravage its host and cause damage. Wolf Air Mask works by generating negatively charged ions. These ions are electrostatically attracted to positively charged airborne particles and aerosol droplets and attaches to them in large numbers, rendering them inactive. Specially designed for enclosed spaces, Wolf Air Mask is environment-friendly, scientifically proven technology, and a must-have product in these trying times. This innovative product ensures your safety by sterilizing the air you breathe. The negative ions produced by Wolf Air Mask also rejuvenate you and enhances your liveliness, which is commonly found in naturally occurring phenomena like waterfalls and tidal frictions. Wolf Air Mask is certified by different labs across the world to neutralize 99.9% of the microbes found in our environment, and also recognized by various enterprises for its unique performance. Whether you're at home, office, classrooms, malls, and movie halls, this device will
Sorry, sir? 20 minutes done? Okay. हाँ sir. Yes. Nah, 2 presentations more. What happened? You need it? Okay. What's up? Arey, next time na, do remind me of all this because this is screen thing. I will be always. It's very hard for me to remember all this. I see. Done.
The world is not more. From a free world, it changed to a fearful one. After thorough analysis of these challenging times, and as a need of the hour, All About Innovations has come up with a unique solution to help you breathe fear-free. Wolf Air Mask Iron Thruster Protection is a unique solution that has been designed to safely and effectively disinfect the active transmission of microbes The world is not the same anymore. From a free world, it changed to a fearful one. After thorough analysis of these challenging times, and as a need of the hour, All About Innovations has come up with a unique solution to help you breathe fear-free. Wolf Air Mask Iron Thruster Protection is a unique solution that has been designed to safely and effectively disinfect the active transmission of microbes present in our surroundings in real time. Virus or bacteria get attached or planted to the host using their surface proteins. Using these proteins, they ravage its host and cause damage. Wolf Air Mask works by generating negatively charged ions. These ions are electrostatically attracted to positively charged airborne particles and aerosol droplets and attaches to them in large numbers, rendering them inactive. Specially designed for enclosed spaces, Wolf Air Mask is environment-friendly, scientifically proven technology, and a must-have product in these trying times. This innovative product ensures your safety by sterilizing the air you breathe. The negative ions produced by Wolf Air Mask also rejuvenate you and enhances your liveliness, which is commonly found in naturally occurring phenomena like waterfalls and tidal frictions. Wolf Air Mask is certified by different labs across the world to neutralize 99.9% of the microbes found in our environment, and also recognized by various enterprises for its unique performance. Whether you're at home, office, classrooms, malls, and movie halls, this device will keep you and your loved ones protected round the clock. Sometimes being negative is great. Wolf Air Mask. Breathe fear-free. The world is not the same anymore. From a free world, it changed to a fearful one. After thorough analysis of these challenging times, and as a need of the hour, All About Innovations has come up with a unique solution to help you breathe fear-free. Wolf Air Mask Iron Thruster Protection is a unique solution that has been designed to safely and effectively disinfect the active transmission of microbes present in our surroundings in real time. Virus or bacteria get attached or planted to the host using their surface proteins. Using these proteins, they ravage its host and cause damage. Wolf Air Mask works by generating negatively charged ions. These ions are electrostatically attracted to positively charged airborne particles and aerosol droplets and attaches to them in large numbers, rendering them inactive. Specially designed for enclosed spaces, Wolf Air Mask is environment-friendly, scientifically proven technology, and a must-have product in these trying times. This innovative product ensures your safety by sterilizing the air you breathe. The negative ions produced by Wolf Air Mask also rejuvenate you and enhances your liveliness, which is commonly found in naturally occurring phenomena like waterfalls and tidal frictions. Wolf Air Mask is certified by different labs across the world to neutralize 99.9% of the microbes found in our environment, and also recognized by various enterprises for its unique performance. Whether you're at home, office, classrooms, malls, and movie halls, this device will keep you and your loved ones protected round the clock. Sometimes being negative is great. Wolf Air Mask. Breathe fear-free.
kindly settle down. We will be resuming in 1 to 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all had a good and refreshing networking session. Before we go ahead with the presentation, we have a raffle draw for the Wolf Air Mask. To hand over the Wolf Air Mask to the winners, let me call on stage Dr. Sohan Roy and His Excellency Khamis Juma Buamim. Before the raffle draw for today's event, we will be having our winner for the previous event, ShipTech. The winner for ShipTech event is Mr. Mugundan C. Menon. I kindly request him to come on stage and receive his prize. Congratulations, Mr. Mugundan. Let's hear a round of applause for Mr. Mugundan, please. Congratulations, Mr. Mugundan. Now it's time to pick today's raffle winner. So I kindly request you to pick one lucky winner for the Wolf Air Mask.
I don't want that. I saw that.
The lucky winner for today's event is Islam Tamer Masood from Coral Shipping Corp. Can we hear a round of applause?
Count to three. He doesn't come the next.
Okay, let's pick one more lucky winner.
Yeah, Steve. I was on the same.
Okay, the next lucky winner is Mr. Mugundan C. Menon. Okay, let's see who the next winner is. Okay, we have Captain G. Fekri from MCS. Congratulations, Captain. Can we have a round of applause, please?
Thank you. He's driving me, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. If any inquiries regarding the wolf air mask, do not hesitate to contact me. So now, moving forward with the presentation, may I request Captain Deepak to kindly take over the dais once again. Thank you.
Resuming our presentations for the day, we have 2 more presentations to go. Our next presentation is Reimagining of Business Post-COVID, Digital Transformation and Development of Innovative Strategies. And this is going to be presented by Joanna Sokolovic. Joanna is Head of Innovation and Marketing for Smart Dives, underwater commercial diving equipment manufacturers. At Smart Dives, Ms. Sokolovic is responsible for strategy and innovation, digitalization and marketing. Prior to Smart Dives, Ms. Sokolovic was a global marketing operations manager at ProServe. She has an extensive background fostering transformative business models, sales growth strategies, and driving the core business internationally. Ms. Sokolovic.
Well, so today what we wanted to speak about is a little bit about the practical ways of digital transformation and the development of the innovative strategies based on the transformation that we are going through. As a company, Smart Dives is a pretty much young brand, but it has extensive industry experience. And a little before COVID, we have started our own first steps in getting closer to the transformation of our own business, and thus we would like to share some of the steps and some of the things that we have seen and done on this journey. So the first thing that I would like to say is that digital technologies are helping almost every industry rewrite its operational landscape, and the oil and gas industry is catching up slowly in this game. Advancements in technology, the failing cost of digitalization, and the connectivity of smart devices, which we have seen through the other presentations as well, provide a real growth opportunity for the oil and gas companies, which will play the digitalization game right. But there is a big but here. Digital transformation is less about the technology and it's more about people. We have seen this because many companies have been pouring millions into digital transformation initiatives, but a high percentage of these fail to pay off. That's because companies are focusing on a specific technology implementation rather than doing the hard work of fitting the change inside the overall business strategy. So what we have noticed, and it's not only in oil and gas field, this is across many industries that have been investing heavily in transforming their businesses, is that the digital transformation, it's a process, and technology is only a tool that needs to be done by people. So if we are looking into the potentials of doing digital, by now everybody knows that's increased productivity, shorter response and intervention times, cost savings, safer operations, asset integrity, better overview of the data, better decision making. Today, as we know, you can buy pretty much any technology, But the ability to adapt to an even more digital future depends on the developing the next generation of people and people's skills. Closing the gap between talent, supply, and demand, which has been a clear focus in oil and gas industry, future-proofing our own potentials and the potentials of the future generations that will be working on these technologies. When we are talking about innovation and reinnovation, some of the companies in oil and gas field are brands that are standing for a long period of times. They have their own ways of doing things, they have rigid structures, and what we are looking into is refreshments. There has been several factors that were driving this. One of them is sustainability and the ecology. So many companies were doing rebranding, and we have seen that through last 2 years. They have been moving to more sustainable working, they have been moving towards green technology. And this is what is all about. Digital transformation and the technology is always about doing more with less, yet the combination is effective only if you pair technology with the right human skills. Just as technological disruption has generated and led to automation and elimination of certain outdated jobs, it has also always created new jobs. But in order, when this happens, we have to have the proper trainings, we have to have proper skills and processes within our companies in order to be able to adapt and embrace these kind of changes. So in the four main areas of digital transformation which we are always looking into is the process transformation, business model transformation, domain transformation, and cultural organizational transformation. This has been identified that equally, they are very important. What happens with the process transformation is that companies are always looking into processes only when they are forced to, when something happens like the COVID crisis happened, and they are looking into once that they have processes that are that needs to be achieving new goals, but they are not performing, so they are forced to try to make some changes. So some radical updates, even for us, needed to be done. As you can see, the process transformation starts with identifying the goals of the transformation. In the company, primarily trying to upgrade systems, incorporate new technology, or adapt processes to new organizational structures. What is actually the need? What is behind the digital transformation? Digital transformation and the technology, it's not per se, it has to be part of the company's overall goal and growth, where they want and how they want to serve the market going forward. In order to have this, we have to have and establish certain baseline metrics. So we have to have overview of the data and what is happening within the business. And getting the data is one of the most difficult tasks, because sometimes all the systems that we have in our companies can show us certain metrics, but they not necessarily need to be true. So we need to go and reinvestigate all the data that we have, how we store it, where we are getting it. Is it what we have and what we know, what we are seeing in the market, and what the baseline workers are actually observing? Second of all is the business model transformation. So the technology, when it's done right, has the potential to change the business models. We have seen this throughout other industries where there has been quite a big disruption when it comes to certain new players coming into the game with different business models, subscription business models, online working, etc. When it comes to domain transformation, if the digital transformation is done right, there are certain pockets within the companies which have the potential to grow, which can be maybe a standalone, maybe it can be a spin off the main company, maybe they need additional support, additional tools, and you can see that by having a department that is performing well, or a tool that can be used not only internally, can be externalized as well. So there has been, if your company is able to extend their domain from wherever they have been specialized and to go into a more open area and find certain other pockets of growth or markets that they can tap in, that's for sure what technology can help them achieve. And one of the biggest challenges, and why we are saying, and please, this is the point of this presentation, it's people. Technology is the tool, the power is with the people, because if you start the technology transformation and you want to even implement any new system or new tool for people to work, it has to have the transparency, you have to have the ability to speak with people, and internal communications here is something that is the most and the biggest asset to be done, because the people can be either your biggest driving force or they can be the biggest obstacle in implementing any process. So what happened to us and how did we come where we are and what we are doing right now to achieve this? So for us, our vision is people-led and technology-supported. As a manufacturer, when the COVID crisis started, we had some certain advantages. We have very big stock, which has allowed us to work in the environment where the global disruption of the supply chain has happened. We had the ability to wait for 3 months and continue our manufacturing processes, and we could have served the market. But in the same time, we have looked into our structure and in our processes, and what happened was the following. So based on everything, we maybe had upper hand because we started a little bit before COVID, and we developed a 3-year strategy for serving a marketplace with the technology innovation is just as important as the technical product innovation. So where we started and what is our goal is the speed, innovation, and digitalization across the board. As you know, in the underwater subsea industry, we are a diving equipment manufacturer, and going forward, diving is going to be less about humans and is going to go to the diverless and ROV and other technology. Humans are still going to be a great part of it. They are going to be more specialized. It's going to look different, but it will still exist. In the same time, what we were looking and what was the practical ways and what we have actually came across is certain things that I would say that maybe you even should check in your own companies. What happened to us, what we identified with the COVID crisis is that we had some technology backsets that we needed to address before we went forward. One of that one was the network. So during COVID, many people went to work from home. They went to online work, which has put extensive issues on the network. So what we identified is that we don't have good network across our facility and that we have immobile workstations. So we had a lot of issues to create rotations, to bring people into the facilities, to adapt to the situation that happened. So we needed to do certain changes. One was to redesign completely our network to be able to be accessed from home, to be equal across the facility, and this has reduced the overtime hours. This has increased the speed we can respond to the inquiries. It gave our people time and the ability to do things faster, which has resulted in 20% increase in our overall response time and has led to 0 overtime during COVID crisis. Workstations had to be redesigned. Technology is going forward and people forget that hardware part as well goes forward. So if you have had workstations with laptops or desktops, this technology has to be updated at least every 3 to 4 years. Where we are looking into, when you are updating any of the systems, where we are saying that this is people-led. Imagine yourself even when you update from one smartphone to another smartphone. Although there is connectivity right now and you can transfer all of your apps, all of your contacts from one phone to another phone, you actually need to allow people time to adapt to the new things. You will see that every app is not updated to the point where you have left it, that all of your photos maybe are not there, etc. So the same things happen in the company. You need to allow to have both processes run simultaneously, meaning that if you are working and you have an old system like we have left enough time to people to transfer all of their data, to adapt to the new system and to test it. We did not decommission all the old workstations. We have not decommissioned all the old technology that we were using until we have been certain that everything we have put in has been something that is working for people and they are fully operational on the new equipment. Same happened with the softwares. When we looked into our softwares, and there is a lot of licenses and a lot of software that has been used across the company that has been costing us a lot of money as well. Every software, every license for every employee. So people usually don't look into this, or they have the extensive IT departments, but they never go down to check if their people have the right tools on their workstations and if they can actually execute what is asked from them. Is this updated? Is this needed? Because sometimes we have too much software to do something that is pretty much simple. Second of all, what we were looking into is digital communication channels. This is something where we wanted to take the most space that we can online, and we wanted to showcase our presence and the changes we are doing internally, and to encourage all the external stakeholders to tell them we are here, we are doing this, and we are going to focus on a different direction from now on. So what was the heart and what we really want to communicate was the technical product innovations. As a manufacturer, we have a couple of, let's say, flagship, oops, sorry, a little technical break because the equipment is failing. Just a second, okay. So we had couple of flagship products where we have changed our business model to fit the narrative that we really want. And what we want is to create an ecosystem of our products which will minimize at our clients and the stock that they need to hold for the spare parts. So as much as spare parts can fit each system, we are trying to unify them. We are trying to allow that there is going to be an easy connectivity between the system. There will be redundancy between the system. And we are redefining the user experience on site as well with the help of the operations and the clients. So as you can see, this is surface supplied breathing apparatus. What we have done is the redesign where we have a mobility and connectivity between the parts. This system is two-diver system that has two-diver monitoring, and that it has 4 cylinders. These are the regular cylinders. What is the next generation and what we have looked in and started implementing is the carbon fiber one, but they are still quite expensive comparing to the regular traditional cylinders. What we have done on this product is our technical team has made the distribution board on the front. We have on the sides a possibility for 2 umbilicals that can be 100 to 150 meters. We have this product here, the diver panel. It's a portable diver panel. It can be connected easily or disconnected on site. It can be moved, so you don't have to use the whole frame. The frame is easy to be used. It can have even the wheels. If you are using it onshore, you want to put it on a jetty, or if you want to use it as a separate unit, you can easily disconnect it from the frame, and you can use it with the loose cylinders on a boat when you have a mothercraft somewhere in the vicinity, or you can use it where there is a small confined space. The only thing that you need is to easily unplug and plug the umbilicals from the frame. So it's pretty much mobile. This here is the breathing air and medical oxygen quad. So following on, we are trying to redesign every single piece of equipment, and we are trying to implement quite different things. So what we are looking into is the user-friendly redesign. So if you look at all of our products have the front fascia. On the lower right corner, you can see the old design comparing to the new design, which is more friendly for the operators, meaning that all the valves are on the top and the distribution board is down. What we have implemented as well is intelligent configuration of the cylinders for easier and faster charging systems. So basically, this system allows you to charge only the ones that you have already consumed, so it's much faster on the site. This is one of the products that is latest that we have been upgrading. As you can see, we know the diver basket should not stand like this. This is only for the photo purposes, so you can see inside a little bit. What we have done here, and why is this one of the products where careful planning has been put in, is We have recognized that a lot of people were asking for us to manufacture LARSes that will be twin baskets and everything, but what we have done with this product is that we have made LARSes that have left side control and right side control. So instead of you having a twin basket, you could have one LARS which will be with the left or right controls. If you would need something like twin, then you could line both LARSes one next to each other, and the operator will have clean sight on the basket because both of them will stand on the left or the right side, so it would not have any issues, and you will save a lot of deck space there. Okay. Oops. One more, no? Okay. So key takeaway for us from all of this that happened during Corona crisis. Corona crisis came to us from one side as a blessing and something that has made us rediscover all the things along the way, that has made us rediscover and repurpose our business models to adapt it to new things. We have started doing innovation on our products. We have started implementing continuous processes of changes and bringing and focusing on connectivity, mobility, and the ecosystem of our products. Every single system that we have made, every single system that we have constructed till now can and in talks one with each other. So if you would purchase one system, you know that in future, any system coming afterwards will be connected with each other. It will be easier to replace, it will be easier to maintain. We are building the platforms to be able to serve the customers much better than what is currently done. We have recognized and we have listened to the customers where they are looking into implementing certain new technologies as well, which we are in a testing phase, because every single product I have shown you right now, we are developing the second generations of them where there will be future improvements as well, which are going towards the speed and the connectivity inside of the field. So stay tuned. Thank you. I think that's it.
Thank you, Joanna. Indeed, as someone said today morning, change is very necessary for any development, and I think that hits a part of every organization. So I'm sure a lot of takeaways from that. Next paper for today is Remote Survey Techniques, and it is going to be presented by Lieutenant Commander Naveen Nair. Retired Lieutenant Commander Naveen Nair is Deputy General Manager Technical Aries Marine. He is a professional naval architect and was commissioned in the Indian Navy 15 July 2000. He served the Indian Navy in various roles, including that of ship refit manager, ship designer, and training officer. He retired from the Indian Navy in July 2010, after which he led the detailed engineering team of L&T shipbuilding till 2012. He has been with Aries Marine Engineering Services since then, where he has built up a team of 85 designers and engineers involved in basic design and detailed design for new build and conversions of commercial vessels. Lieutenant Naveen Nair.
Yeah, thanks for that introduction, Deepak. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In the next 20 minutes or so, I'll present on this topic of remote inspection techniques. I'll cover the following aspects of this topic. Firstly, of course, there'll be an introduction. followed by the equipment or resources that are used for remote inspection, followed by various case studies of the inspections that we have done and what we have learned from those. And I'll end with what is the way ahead and what we foresee new developments in this field. So to start with survey. When we talk about survey is a procedure or an activity essentially done to assess and understand the material state or the performance of an asset or part of an asset. But in order to efficiently undertake a survey, you need to access the asset first. You need to have close access to the asset or part of the asset or your area of interest. Now, if the area that you want to survey is easily accessible, it's easy. You can just have a visual survey easily. But if it's not an accessible area, then you need to have means of accessing this part. So the various means of access typically in such a situation is you erect a staging, scaffolding, or a rafting, or a ladder, etc. Remote inspection can be considered as just another means of accessing your area that you want to survey. So that's the very basic and fundamental explanation of what remote inspection is. As we learned in the presentation by ABS in the morning, when the remote inspection is done for the purpose of class, it is done in the presence and under the direction of the class surveyor. But it's basically an inspection that is done under the direction and observation of the class. The equipment that you use for doing remote inspection are RIVs or remote inspection vehicles. Typically, the purpose of employing these are primarily to reduce the risk to surveyors and inspectors and also reduce intervention on the operational cycle of the asset, because in many or most cases, you would have to immobilize certain ongoing operations to facilitate the survey. So when you use remote inspection techniques, to an extent you can reduce these disadvantages. Common types of remote inspection vehicles are unmanned aerial vehicles, remotely operated underwater vehicles, and robotic crawlers. I will talk about the UAVs and ROVs because these are assets which Ares already owns. And the case studies that I will be presenting is about these two kinds of remote inspection vehicles. Firstly, the unmanned aerial vehicles. What you see are some typical unmanned aerial inspection vehicles. Model names are already mentioned. Incidentally, our Ares team, which engages in remote inspection, already owns these. Remote inspection vehicles, commonly known as drones, it's a basically pilotless aircraft, and they can be remotely controlled, or they can also be pre-programmed, and you can pre-program their flight path, and it will go and operate in the flight path that is pre-programmed. It can be used to collect visual data such as images or videos, and also live stream these. And these are primarily used in areas which are difficult to access, or where you don't have the choice of quickly erecting a scaffolding and other means of access. The advantages, as I said earlier, it reduces the need for personnel to work at heights using conventional means of access. and also can carry out tasks in areas with restricted mobility, such as tanks. Typically, these are used in areas of great heights where the erection of scaffolding would be prohibitively expensive or not feasible, or it could be very constrained areas where difficult to access, or it could be areas which are hazardous for human access. I present some case studies. When you talk about inspection using drones or unmanned aerial vehicles, the challenges when doing it indoor and outdoor are completely different. And therefore, we use different procedures and different UAVs for operating in indoor and outdoor areas. So I'll first present two case studies about jobs that we have done for outdoor operations, followed by a case study about use of UAVs for indoor surveys. Now, this one was a case study about a project, is one of our earliest projects. This one was the mandate given to us was to assess the material state of the legs of this platform. And subsequently, upon receiving our report of the assessment, the owner was quite impressed and advised us also to do an assessment post completion of repairs and painting, because he wanted to be sure if some areas are left or if there are any paint holidays. So I will present some of the images captured by our drone. And yeah, so the target, as I said, was visual assessment of material state of the legs, and also visual verification of completeness of and quality of painting. So this is the drone that we used for this survey. This is the Matrice 300. As you see, it has cameras both on top and bottom of the rotors. It has 360-degree sensors, and these sensors are essential to prevent collision of this drone with the asset that you are trying to survey. And this is an essential, characteristic of any professional drone that you would want to use for UAV surveys. It can be operated from up to 8 kilometers away. You can control the drone up to that distance, and it can be used up to a height of 5 kilometers. These are some of the photographs. This is actually extract of the report that we sent to the owner, wherein we could identify from the high definition photographs, we could identify areas of critical areas requiring attention as relation to corrosion and pitting. These are, of course, some areas which we identified after painting as where the work completion was not to satisfaction. This is, of course, photographs after painting. We could identify areas which were missed out during painting. I assume there was some scaffolding or something erected there because of which they didn't paint those areas. This is a second case study. This was for visual inspection of the flare boom of one of the government-operated plants in UAE. Again, we performed using the same drone. Since this drone is suitable and ideal for outdoor surveys. This has a high pressure and low pressure flare boom, and the mandate was to do a visual survey and give a report on any major observations or concerns that we see. As you can see, the clarity of the photographs is very high, and you can zoom in very close and even identify cracks or damages that have developed in these. That is because of the quality of the cameras that are typically used for these kinds of UAVs. This again is our extracts of our report to the clients. As you can see here, it can even identify very small, what shall I say, that actually was not any defect or deformation. It was just some particle which had got attached to the stay wires of this flare boom. I'm just showing this particularly to highlight the quality of photographs and quality of visual material that you can generate using aerial survey. This is the second type of drone. This is called the Helios 2, and this is ideally suited for indoor inspections. And as you can see, it's, the construction is completely different from the Matrice 200 because it is having a protective cage, and this protective cage prevents the damage to the rotors. And when you do indoor inspections, you have two challenges. The first challenge is that you don't have a GPS feed to work with. So the stabilization of the drone without that feed is a big challenge. So you have a very high chance of drone coming in contact with your asset, especially when working in constrained spaces. So this cage is a great help. Secondly, this drone has a very high performance light. In indoor areas, when you inspect, especially confined spaces, light illumination is a major challenge. So this drone is self-sufficient from that point of view. So this is a video of this drone being used for inspection of some large tanks. As you can see, it has a very powerful light which will ensure that the images and video captured is very clear for assessment of the surveyor. This is what I talked about, the advantage of having the cage, because you can see it's constantly colliding with the lights, but it can continue to function. A normal drone would have got immobilized and damaged in this scenario. It has a thermal as well as visual camera. And this drone we use for the survey of one of the plants of Dubai government power plants for the visual inspection of boilers. Now this is how they used to do the inspection. They had to construct or assemble scaffoldings to great heights, which obviously would have entailed a great amount of time and effort. And when we did using the Helios, none of that was needed. And we were able to capture images to the satisfaction of the client. So these are some of the photographs of operation that we did, some of the photos captured by the drone. As you can see, these are completely unlit areas, and the drone with its own light was able to capture photographs which showed the condition of the asset very clearly. So these are more than enough to assess how the asset condition is. Some extracts of the report. This again is another survey that we did on the inside the tank of a bulk carrier. The mandate was general condition survey, especially you can see the area in the blue box. While the other areas can be accessed easily by the ship crew, the area that's shown in the box is inaccessible. So those areas could easily be accessed, and we could get photographs of these areas for survey. Incidentally, this one turned out to be, the material state turned out to be quite good, except some paint blistering. There was hardly any problems observed. Next is remotely operated underwater vehicles. This again, the model owned by our team is the one which was shown in the presentation by Inchcape team sometime in the morning. So this again is used for underwater survey inspection, and of course, it cannot do any intervention. It cannot do any task other than just capturing the asset condition, in the sense that it cannot. This is a model that we own, cannot do, say, cleaning of the hull or perform any other tasks. So this is primarily for observation. It can collect visual data, and typically more advanced drones of this type can be also used for thickness gauging and small level of intervention on the asset. This, of course, can be used to augment human diving, and because human diving would have constraints or limitations in accessing very constrained areas, especially in fields of salvage operation, wherein you have to go inside a vessel that is at the sea bottom and visually inspect certain inaccessible areas. So it's always safer to use a ROV in such conditions. So major advantages: extended dive times, access to confined areas, safe for hazardous areas of work, cost effective and ideal for repeated tasks. So I have two case studies of jobs that we have done. This was one of the earliest jobs done by us using this drone. This was, the mandate was to assess the spud legs of a jackup. The specifications of the drone that we used, it can go up to 305 meters, nearly 1,000 feet. It has a very high resolution camera and a very high illumination capability, which is very important when doing unmanned surveys underwater. So these are some of the photographs captured by the drone. And I would like to qualify my statement that this was done very close to the jetty. And typically when you do surveys close to a harbor or a port, the water there is muddy, and typically the visuals are much worse when compared to doing survey much farther out into the sea when it is much more clear. But even at this location, we could get very clear photographs, and we were able to assess the material state conclusively from these. Of course, extract of our report. This is one of the underwater survey in lieu of docking that was done for a vessel recently. In this, we observed that there was a damage in the propeller blade, as you can see here. I'm just showing this photograph to highlight the fact that this is actually a very effective technique, and you can identify even small defects that are there in your asset. This is just a video feed of this UWIL survey. Now, in what situations do we recommend to use remote inspection techniques? One is for preliminary condition assessment, wherein you have some suspicion and you want to do a quick assessment of the structure. You would not want to deploy a diver for that, because mobilization and costs and all would be very high. Whereas this would be a quick and cheap method of getting a preliminary assessment of a condition. Next is a known condition assessment monitoring. That is where you have to periodically monitor a particular area where you already know that a particular part of the asset requires periodic monitoring. Then again, this is a ideally suited method for inspection using remote means. Then, of course, if there is a damage and you need to have a quick assessment, it's always safe to do an initial remote assessment before you send people in. But then these also have limitations. When your remote inspection reveals damage or deterioration that requires immediate attention, we always recommend that it be followed by a human visual assessment and identification, because however good images that you get, it is always the final decision. If you are going to go for some major scope of work based on remote inspection, then it is always good to substantiate your remote inspection results by a physical human assessment. When historical records indicate abnormal levels of deterioration or damage to the areas of interest, so if you are reasonably sure that an area based on the historical records is requiring close attention, then again we recommend that not to rely purely on remote inspection techniques and to go for physical human intervention. And this is another major concern. When the area of inspection is not clean, if it were a diver, then he could locally clean the area and do the inspection. But when you restrict your method to only remote inspection, then this is a constraint, because you can't do anything. You just have to capture what is visible to you. And then of course there are certain conditions where remote inspection doesn't give you the required level of confidence from the results. For example, if you want to check the color of tank coatings or condition of tank coatings, if there isn't sufficient cleaning, then you will need to have a physical human diver there. Future prospects, of course we foresee more technological innovation and developments in the remote inspection vehicles. But we foresee more changes or more improvements in the actual method of survey. In the sense, we foresee that in future the surveys would be less, the area of survey will be less but more effective. Right now, when we think of survey, you are surveying the complete vessel or the complete asset. But in future, we foresee that you are going to predict areas of the asset which are likely to be more deteriorated or damaged, and restrict your survey to that, but you are going to do more intensive surveys. So that is where we see more developments in the future. So prediction of asset behavior using digital twins and condition-based model to facilitate and identify critical areas and drive that way inspections to the specific areas instead of the complete asset. That brings me to the end of the presentation. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen, sir. And thank you, Captain Deepak Singh, for moderating the session. And thanks to all our esteemed speakers for the insights shared and the presentations. With this, we have come to the end of today's conference presentation. The intent for conquering the deep sea is present task and a matter of future challenge for the marine science and offshore technology. In offshore oil and gas industry, for installation and maintenance of subsea development, the major task involves ROV interventions, which have accentuated the role of ROV technology in deep sea. With the increasing demand on capability, productivity, and reliability of remote interventions, tools and techniques, ROV technology is continuously witnessing great improvement. But some of the key issues for the future development of this technology remains the high depth rates. Equipment modularity, reduced size, universal interface, and automation of the intervention tasks. To discuss more about the advancement and challenges during underwater marine operations, I would like to invite our distinguished moderator and panelists on stage. First, let me request our esteemed moderator, Mr. Sivaratnam, to please join us on stage. He had his first command at 27 at a chemical tanker, being the youngest master in the fleet. Made a radical career change and went into commercial diving after gaining his HSE Part 1 diving certification. In 1997, joined Summit Slavage Singapore as a Slavage diver. In the span of 7 years, he rose Slavage Master at the age of 36, the youngest Slavage Master in the organization. The only Slavage Master with seafaring master and commercial Slavage diving experience. To date, he has attended 77 Slavage cases globally. In 2014, with a total global experience, VMAX Marine was established and headquartered in Singapore, with a regional presence in the Middle East and India. VMAX Marine is a member of the International Slavage Union. VMAX Marine is a skill set and knowledge-driven which specializes in consultancy execution support for marine slavage, offshore decommissioning, offshore float-over installation, subsea expert matters. In 2019, VSEVA was appointed as a member of the Lloyd's Panel Special Casualty Representative, SCR, one of the 46 individuals in the world and the only Singaporean. He is also the SCR in the World Middle East region, and VMAX Marine is the only Singaporean entity with an SCR. VSEVA is a regular editorial contributor to the International Maritime Executive magazine and on the subject of Slavage. So please I welcome you onto the stage. To call upon our panelists, Captain Nicholas Saxena. Can we have a round of applause? Next, I would like to invite Mr. Chris Greenwood. Mr. Rakesh Bangera. Ms. Joanna Sokolovic. And finally, Mr. Navin Nair onto the stage. Sir, the stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, but basically I'm the doom and gloom guys when it comes to salvage. We have a fantastic kaleidoscope of panelists here. And what's interesting about this event is it's called Dive Technology, but we have various insights and skill sets and knowledge, not only in diving, but we have from manufacturing, from the hull and machinery point of view, the P&I point of view. We have also the classification point of view, and also the autonomous technology as well, which is a real, I think, game changer in the future. But before we move along, I think it's very, very important that we keep the timelines, because we got till 12:50, I guess, as per the schedule. But until I'm prompted, we'll see, because, a hungry person is an angry person, and we are coming to lunchtime. In that respect, I'd like to open first to our esteemed attendees who are here. If you have any questions, you may just raise your hands and we can start on with that. But maybe if I would like to, if no one wants to go ahead first, I got a few questions to ask. And one of my things that I've drawn from these presentations is from the class point of view, from ABS, for example, if you had this remote survey, first of all, what sort of preparation-wise will owners have to do before they can engage in a remote survey? Because in my world, as a diver and an ex-diver, when we did class surveys, you have to be class certified. But in this case here, you're doing it remotely. So what are the prerequisites in that respect?
Just to confirm, you're talking specifically about UL surveys?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So, as I mentioned during the presentation, the need for an underwater inspection is a statutory requirement. So for sure we need to get flag approval. And that's primarily done by preparing a UL plan that's then submitted to ABS for review, and also submitted to flag, or the request for the approval to perform the survey is submitted to flag. So that's the main part. The other part is the responsibility of the vessel owner, operator, manager, whoever, to engage with a qualified external specialist, whether that's Aries or whoever. And then, as I mentioned, the biggest thing is actually the kick-off meeting, to make sure that everybody understands exactly what's happening, what the swim route is, what the inspection plan is, what the survey plan is. That one of the benefits of doing things remotely like this is there's very minimal safety concerns because there's nobody on board. So yeah, get the plan approved, have a decent kick-off meeting, perform the survey, and then have a close-out meeting to find out whatever findings there are and how they're being resolved.
Okay, but what was, if it was a remote survey again, UL, the preparation phase at the location, for example, what will be the requirements there? I mean, what would a crew have to do? Or will there be a lot of interaction between the crew and the surveyor who is remote? Or is it a representative?
Yeah, so the interaction between the crew and the remote surveyor is pretty limited.
Right.
Typically it's between the remote surveyor and the diver who's physically in water, or the inspection company. In terms of preparation, obviously the ABS rules stipulate exactly what needs to be looked at. But things like opening sea chests, for example, to provide access into the sea chest, that's one of the requirements of a UL. Making sure that things like anodes are available for inspection. But the preparation requirements for the crew for an underwater inspection are pretty limited because they can't get into the water to spin thing anyway, right?
Correct.
And then it depends obviously on what type of vessel it is, what type of rudder arrangement it has, but obviously there are measurements that need to be taken. But again, the external specialist should be fully prepared to understand exactly what it is they have to measure and see before they do the inspection. That's why we approve them, because in order to get ABS's approval as an external specialist, they have to have an intricate knowledge of both the ABS rules and the statutory requirements, but also of different types of vessels.
Right.
So it's not so much that the crew has to prepare or that the ABS surveyor has to prepare, it's that the qualified external specialist needs to know what it is that they're doing before they get on board.
Yeah, I think my next question is, does anyone else have a question? Because I got a whole lot of them. Anyone? Well, okay, so I'll have a go. Now, we just had Lieutenant Commander Navin presenting an ROV surveys, in-water survey, UL. Now, how do you, ABS or the class would interpret, instead of a diver intervention, you will have an ROV intervention for class. Will that eventually take place, or will that be acceptable?
So it is acceptable. So the way that we conduct our approvals on the certificate, it will either say you are qualified to perform UL inspections using divers or ROVs, or a combination of both.
Okay.
I guess your question is, do you think that ROVs will ever totally replace divers? Is that right?
Yes, to a certain degree.
Not at this point.
Yeah.
In the same way that remote surveys are not going to totally replace in-person surveys, and ships are going to have men on them for a very, very long time. I think in certain situations ROVs are far more suitable than using physical divers. But it really depends on the owner, the location, the ease of mobility, local external specialist availability. But objectively, from ABS's perspective, we don't care whether it's divers or ROVs. As long as we have the right picture quality, we can communicate. The company knows what it is that they're looking at, and we have sufficient information to be able to make a good judgment about whether the condition of water or whether the water is satisfactory or not. It doesn't matter to us.
All right. Thank you, Chris. It's been a quiet audience here. I hope someone will ask questions. Basically, the moderator is supposed to be supporting the audience.
They did clear some questions during the tea break.
Exactly. Maybe they'll come back after lunch. But Rajesh, for you, I mean, autonomous vehicles. And there is, in the US, I've seen organizations running big ways with autonomous vehicles. And there was a subsea equipment. But in your presentation, you were more into hydrographic survey with remote. And being familiar with those sort of operations, I'm curious to know, how do you calibrate when you're at site? Because normally these equipment comes with a gyro system, and where the surveyor is calibrating the system, so he gets all the accurate readings. But in your kit, I mean, how does it calibrate itself?
So basically, there are equipments now in the market which doesn't need calibration. For example, HIPAP. You must be familiar with HIPAP system.
And this shows I'm a dinosaur.
So basically, HIPAP earlier, when you deploy the water, you had to do a calibration. But now the gyro is inbuilt within the HIPAP system itself. So when you deploy, the zero calibration can be done from the system. So you don't have to do the calibration every time you deploy the system import. So similarly, this technology has been incorporated by most of the manufacturers. You might have heard of IXC Blue. They have their own IPAP systems where the calibration is not required. So that made our life much easier. Otherwise, yes, definitely, if you are on a survey vessel, earlier you had to do the calibration if you move the position.
Right. But in terms of processing time to get the data, is that quicker or faster or slower?
So basically what happens is when you deploy the vessel or the autonomous vessel, the data gets captured on a PC mounted within the UniCam. But we communicate through Teams to see whether the data captured is as per your requirement. If not, you can make those changes. But the real-time data, if you want to transmit, then you're talking about a lot of data consumption using GPS. So if owner doesn't want the real-time data, then you just capture on the hard disk, and once you retrieve, you analyze and you study those data. Otherwise, yes, you can transmit real-time motion.
Okay, and I'm trying to envisage this. When you do a survey, you're running a straight line at sea. And obviously where I came from back then is you had a compass or a gyro, and you're steering the vessel in that straight line with the surveyor monitoring or advising. But when you do remote, I mean, how accurate do you know that you're in a straight line towards the sea conditions and the physical, not being on board, but you're looking through a screen?
It's accurate than the survey vessel.
Really?
Yeah, because what you do is you define the waypoints, you pre-program the area of survey or area of study, and then on a vessel what you do is when you take a U-turn, basically it's a big area what you are going to come back, but whereas UniCat just needs a small area, so you're not eliminating any portion of the seabed from getting surveyed. And also regarding the waves, see, that's why we have designed from 0 to sea state 3. So in case, if your sea is very calm, you go with one type of Unicat, otherwise you go for the higher version. But unfortunately, I don't have the video here, but we have tried it on CSA 3 with very good results. So I can watch for the results.
No, it's really interesting. I mean, I think it's what you have is a good game changer because, yeah, we all do survey, we all need survey every now and then. It's cost-wise, yes, you have the floating asset that's costing most.
Yeah.
But in terms of remote, autonomous, yeah, it's something else. But yeah, thank you for that, Rajesh. Captain Saxena. Sorry. Go ahead. Russell, right?
Thank you. Now, I'm quite interested or curious to know how you getting approval for the unmanned drones or AUVs to enter specific oil fields or onshore fields in Abu Dhabi. Has it been a challenge or is it quite straightforward to get the CISPA passes?
Yes, it is a challenge, but it depends who is our client. If ADNOC is interested, then it is straight away a yes for that. But if it's through for example, if you're working with EPC contractors, we had a lot of convincing to be done with joint operation with the EPC because EPC sees a lot of cost saving, so they want to go with us. But when it comes to the asset owners, they are like not very sure that what will happen if the asset comes and crashes because there is no human intervention. But there are a lot of fail-safe modes what we have put in case if the GPS is lost, then there is a preset point incorporated in the system, so it just goes back to that preset rather than just drifting away anywhere. So these kind of fail-safe mode we have built in, and when we tell these points to the asset owners, they are quite convinced. Yes, it's not one, the battle is not at one, but yes, we are very close to getting these kinds of approved. Basically, the problem is there are no set rules, so they cannot refer to any rules and compare our solution. That's the problem. But we are getting there. Yeah, it's a challenge, but yeah.
And overall, would you say the acceptance of that new tech, well, maybe new here, but that technology has been accepted more for interventions?
Yes, yes. For example, we are doing a lot of surveys in the region now compared to last year. We can see the number of inquiries and the interest is growing, so it is leading towards the trend.
Thank you.
I think that was a very good question, but it's also about security these days. That's the whole issue. You know, we have all these so-called sabotages and attacks, and it's all by drones and autonomous vehicles, so they say.
That is the challenge.
Yeah, and the first thing if a guy like me went up there and representing the underwriters, say I want to do a survey and we want to use a drone, the reaction is going to be pretty much negative because they don't know what kind of drone it is.
True.
So yeah, it's a very valid question. Anybody else? Gentleman there. Oh, there's one more there.
Hello. The question to Unique Group regarding the time saving by using autonomous survey, by using conventional survey, by setuping every day and use the time to set up, how long it takes to set up first stage and the regular working day. So how we save time using this technology?
So basically the initial setup, once, so like initially there was a project where we mobilized this kit in a box. We had to assemble it, you know. Once assembly is done, all the equipment is mounted, so you don't have to do anything. Rather than just recovering by the end of the day, basically since its line of sight is required, we do only during the daytime. So once operation is completed, if you're doing through a slipway, then you record from there. If you're doing it from a boat, then you just pick it up from the crane. Next day morning, you just deploy it. So there's no pre-preparation on an everyday basis. So that's a much of a time saving for us. And depending upon the area where you're going to do, if it is a channel, then you don't even need a boat. Your operator can be on the slipway monitoring that. But if you are doing it a bit of a shallow water outside, a few nautical miles from the shore, then yeah, you will need maybe you can do it with a Zodiac also, rather than having a bigger boat.
And also the team and the manpower, it will be the same surveying team. It will not reduce any surveying team. So it will be the same number of man you have. Just less the crew of the boat you have for manpowering the equipment.
Yeah, as I mentioned during the presentation, the skill set of the people would be to just run the UNISAT. You don't need a surveyor as such there, because the data analysis will be done in the later part. So in case if you have, say, in X place there is a survey to be done, the surveyor can be in your base monitoring all the data which is getting captured, and if any alteration has to be done, the guy who is driving the UNISAT, he can do it. So you don't have to fly or send your surveyors at site. You can do it remotely.
Yeah, correct. But the cons for this is to have full day working, and after that you can check the analysis after you recover the ROV. You have to have such a system to do it correctly from the first hour of working, not wasting full time of day. After that you try to correct the situation, such as you have maybe lose of communication between the DGBS with the base station. You will have a lot of problems that still required manpower to run it.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. Basically, you can see the data real time. You don't have to recover it, but you are not taking the data from there for processing. As I said, through the team viewer, you are always accessing the PC which is placed inside the UNICAT. So you are actually seeing the data. So if any corrections to be done, you can do it then and there. You don't have to recover the UNICAT. Does it make sense?
You can adjust.
You can adjust it remotely. So it's not that at the end of the day you recover and then you see the data and then you see, no, I have to do this correctly. No, it can be done real time.
So you can adjust it on that directly, and you can, and in case of any problem, you can recover the ROV back.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
There's a question from the gentleman right in the corner there.
Hi, my question is to Rakesh. As you displayed that you use LiDARs for your UNICATs, what kind of perception softwares do you use, and how efficiently you use LiDARs to gather data, and what kind of data do you gather?
So in terms of the software which we use for carrying out the survey is HiPack or Quincy. These are the two softwares which we use for carrying out the survey. But for the UNICAT itself, it's called a flow stream pattern. So this is a software which you are using to drive the, what you call, UNISAT. But there are two different. For survey it is different, for UNICAT it is a different software.
So your eye to the autonomy is a LiDAR?
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right.
Anybody else? I have a question for smart dives. And I've been following them, I've seen them work. And basically in my mind they are reinventing the wheel for a faster, better and more effective result. But in terms of for artificial intelligence, Giovanna, what do you think is going to happen? What's Smart Dive's plans? You guys are always working internally, right? So I like to know, interestingly, what is the plans for the next, okay, do you have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan? Where are you going to be at?
Yes, we are still developing as we go. Definitely the COVID crisis was a big push forward in order to think about the future, because suddenly there has been disruption in the way we do business, in the way how to continue the manufacturing process without interruptions when you actually cannot have people on site, how to do the surveys and certifications of the equipment when it's impossible to go and visit the client. So all of these things has flagged certain processes and flaws within the physical world, which we could have bridged with the digital. But digital still have its own flaws as well. One of it is connectivity. I think that artificial intelligence is one step even further in future, but the first thing is the network and connectivity. We have 5G now, we have mobile phones with the 5G and everything. We will have autonomous vehicles and everything, but maybe this is as well one of the questions for Mr. Rajesh, because how do you get the connectivity between the devices, the IoT? How you are going to connect your autonomous vehicle for your vessel? Is it from the vessel to the shore? What is the distance? What is the speed of the data transmission between the equipment and everything? The diving equipment we are manufacturing, we are basing our innovations on current technology still. We are looking into connectivity, we are looking how to bring that step forward within the equipment we are having, but still it's very pretty basic equipment which has a certain purpose, and that is to put safely a diver in the water and get him out. So we are looking into, our primary goal is to empower the diver more, to give him certain things that will empower the oil and gas 4.0, meaning that we will have more technology in the oil and gas fields, we will have more technology on the platforms itself. There will be ways how we are going to connect to all of these devices, subsea or topside, wherever they are. So I still think that the human factor is going to be a big factor, and we as manufacturers are looking how to empower the humans, which we are still going to work on seabeds, because there will be still spaces where you cannot reach with the technology and where you will be relying on the human, because every single type of technology which has visualization, let's say cameras, you have 4K now, which is amazing, and this was a technology jump in the last couple of years. And we will go forward, we will have even more processing power, we will have bigger chips, but in the same time, Corona and people staying home made the shortages of the same. So in the technology world, there are disruptions happening, same as what we are having in manufacturing. So going forward, are we going to be able to produce all of these chips that are going to go into these devices that are going to be in the field, how we are going to connect it with shore, where are going to be these data centers, how we are going to protect it, because security is a big thing. If you have an autonomous driving vehicle and someone kidnaps it or hijacks it, just interrupting your signal, where is it going to land? This is a critical infrastructure. You have ROVs, but they have the tether and you have the line and you can control it. It will not go more than 200 meters from your vessel. But what you are going to do when you don't have a human, when you don't have a vessel in the vicinity, and you depend only on the network, only on that signal between you and that vehicle over there. So how you are going to protect it, what you are going to use, how you are going to make it lighter and faster and safer. This is the question we are looking. And as manufacturer that is still playing with the small steps, getting ourselves to a level to build the skills, because our own company needs to grow. We are just thinking about the vision right now. We are thinking about the ideas where we can go, but we still need to build the internal skills. As I mentioned in my presentation, there is a way we need to transition. The regular technicians, tomorrow will be IT technicians working on your devices, because you will need to have that skill if you want to integrate that kind of technology. You need to plan for it. You need to find and procure in the field these kind of talents, and it's very difficult because you have a very big industry over there that is grabbing talents for itself, and we need to fight as well. So there is a big job in front of us, as per my opinion, but let's see. We are optimistic.
No, I think it's important because this happened. I wouldn't want to name the location or the situation, but it was a conflict zone which I was involved in. And there was a Navy, and they had these trained dolphins, invested millions of dollars to detect UXOs. On the day they were deployed, they all swam away, never came back. It's a fact. And then we all ended up back to the technology that we know. But it's very interesting that you say that, if people were to hijack your signals and take it away from you, that's something that's happening right now with hacking. So yeah, but thank you for that. Anybody else has some questions? I know we're close to time. I'm looking if we are good for time. Captain Saxena, if you were to enlighten the audience here on a P&I point of view, if there was reef damage to grounding, which yes, I've also shared that experience, but in the perspective of subsea assessment and measurements, they have a reef specialist. He comes down, he measures it physically, and he dives around and he sees, and basically it's a negotiation with the local authorities or environmental authorities on how much reef damage there is. And there is a formula, of course, and somehow this formula comes up with a magic number of say $25 million US. But now without, if we are going diverless and we have, instead of a marine biologist, we have a smart ROV that's able to have all these sensors and detect the extent of damage and even predict the rehabilitation part of it. What are your take in view of the underwriters if it's all remotely done and that data is provided to the underwriters? What would you think the acceptance would be?
From underwriter point of view, I would feel that they will still not rely on ROV. Because ROVs, as we said, it's a very preliminary visual inspections. It is nothing where we can physically, or as divers go and scratch it and feel it and dig it more into the deep. The physical dive is much more better. With ROVs, it will be very preliminary and very visual. What is the difference between like what had happened to before the incident and after the incident, and calculation-wise, they will still go with the diver report, not with the ROV. The insurance sector somehow is still working on
specialists. Yeah.
As to say, and they would still require a full, extensive investigation to be done.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Anybody for some questions here? Captain Saxena? But in terms of marine growth under the hull, I mean, you basically the diver goes and takes the measurement of how thick the marine growth is. But if you could use an ROV to do that, will that?
We have tried physically, hull wiper, I would say. The ship owners have done one side manually with the divers and one side with the hull wiper. And the results were totally different. So I would not, it depends on the hull work.
Yeah.
Totally depends on that, how old is it, how thick it is. Some of the pilots and dolphins at birth, they are not clean for so many years. It is very difficult for ROV or hull wiper to go and clean it, which will require a physical diver to go and take his tools and do the hull work.
Yeah, I guess, this is an interesting question for class as well, Chris. Where, okay, you have an ABS classed FSO or FPSO, and she's out there for 20 years. And it's way out there. I don't know whether and she's huge, of course. The hull is huge. But again, in terms of class survey, how does that go about? Because she's moored up, right, at location. And if you're doing a remote survey, rather than having someone or a team deployed to do some hull cleaning, how does that go about? Again, it's just remote survey?
Yeah, so the applicability for the remote survey scheme is for offshore vessels, and that covers FSOs. The wording in the rules is a meaningful examination.
Okay.
And then the next phrase is to the satisfaction of the attending surveyor.
Right.
So it sounds pretty
the language, yes.
subjective.
Yes.
All of our rules are written by lawyers.
Yes.
It sounds quite subjective, but that's where the experience and know-how of the surveyor comes in.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to see 100% of the hull.
Yeah.
That's not a requirement. You understand which parts of the hull you need to see from the rules, but also from experience. So whether it's a 5-year-old OSV or a 50-year-old FSL of West Africa, we use experience, organisational knowledge and our procedures and policies to govern exactly what it is we need to look at. But fundamentally they're the same, regardless of vessel type, vessel size, location, whatever. It's a meaningful examination to the satisfaction of the tenants.
Thank you.
So I'm afraid it's a bit of a lawyer's answer.
Yes. Any lawyers here?
Yeah, Captain, I have a question. My question is for Mr. Rakesh, and I'm just trying to increase my knowledge here because the opportunity presented itself. In your presentation, I saw that you said on your USVs, which is the surface vehicle, one of the payloads was a sub-bottom profiler. Can a sub-bottom profiler, I'm innocently asking, I really don't know, can it work from the surface, and if it does, till what water depth can it give you good results?
Okay, so basically yes, sub-bottom profiler does work on the as a payload, but it depends upon the capacity of that sub-bottom profiler, until what depth rate it is going to work. So if you're doing a shallow water, you would go for a lower range sub-bottom profiler, but if you're going for a deeper water, then you would go for a much, the frequency would be higher than the one you're using on the shallow water part.
Okay, that leads me to a more specific next question. Maybe you want to answer it after the session, but so in 40-meter water depths, do you have a USV which can support a sub-bottom profiler and get a result?
Yeah, so what we are doing is basically you will do a survey at 3 to 4 knots. So now we are going to incorporate a winch on that and tow it rather than attaching it to the unicat itself. So that is much closer to the seabed. So you get a much better results rather than having it on the unisat itself.
But this towing also can be done with the USV, or you need a conventional vessel for that towing?
No, with the USV.
With the USV?
Yeah, the one, I think in the picture I showed, we are doing a UXO survey in the region. And it is, we are actually dragging a string of sensors along the way to get the results from there. So yes, towing can be done.
Thank you very much, Rakesh. I know it's probably not relevant to everybody, but very interesting for me. I'll speak to you after the...
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Just, I had a question for Chris. This remote, once you get all the data, what is required for your surveyor to go through, and its decline, for example, not because it's bad, but because the data is not enough, do you still charge the client?
It's a good question. I'm going to go a step back. A well-qualified external specialist will know exactly what data they need to collect. So if there's insufficient data collected, it's not the owner's fault or the class's fault, it's the external specialist.
Okay.
Because when we come in and do that initial audit to qualify them, they have to demonstrate their knowledge of various vessel types, as I mentioned, obviously diving operations, and they also have to have a library of shipbuilding materials, everything that you would need to know as a vessel inspection company. And part of that is knowing exactly what it is that they have to look at, the areas that they have to focus on, which we just mentioned, measurements that need to be taken, for example, rudder gap and so on. So if the data that is provided is not sufficient, it's on them to go back and get it. Now, if there's issue with data transmission, as we've discussed in remote locations, disruption of communications, that's a separate issue. So there have been cases where clients have attempted to make a remote survey, and for whatever reason, because of data transmission issues, they've then had to go back and put divers in the water. But that's the exception, not the rule. So again, like Joanna mentioned, it's relatively new for us. The marine industry is quite conservative. It tends to move pretty slowly.
Yes.
But it's getting better and better. But like I mentioned in the presentation, it's not a silver bullet. It's not a one-stop shop fix. But it is evolving. As technology improves, as our know-how improves as an industry, I think the chances of that kind of thing happening reduce over time.
Thank you.
Again, it comes back to very, very good preparation and really, really good communication. Those are the two things.
I just have one last question for Lieutenant Commander Navin, and it's with the drones, and it's all visual at the moment. But a thought crossed my mind in terms of measurements. Do you emphasize or do you foresee that, measurements could be laser-guided measurements and you can have data right up on your screen? Will that be a development Aries can explore?
Hello. I just want to be sure I understood your question. You're asking if we can take measurements from the visual feed received from the drones.
Presently, it's just visual feeds now.
Yeah.
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
For your subsea drones and for your aerial drones.
Yeah.
But I think, in the future, you need to know also about measurements.
Yeah.
And I'm sure clients would want to know what's the distances or wastage and stuff like that. And so if that happens, then is there a possibility that you introduce with lasers to take distances, Is that a possibility?
I'm sure it's a distinct possibility. In fact, there is a field called photogrammetry, which deals with taking measurements from photographs. And we also offer another software solution which involves this. It's called visual asset management, wherein you make a 3D photographic model of your complete asset. That is, you take three-dimensional photographs of, say, if it's this hall, I could, there are of course special cameras for that. So I could put those cameras at 5 or 6 locations in this hall. And then I could have a complete 3D view. You could navigate through that model after that. And in that model, I can also take photographs. But then that's a special camera. So to answer your question, if that kind of a camera is mounted onto the drone, then of course you can also start taking measurements. It's just that, I don't know, maybe the technology already exists, although I haven't come across that, because incidentally that type of cameras tend to be heavy. The one we have is the latest one, and it's quite heavy. So may be too much of a payload for the existing drones. But if that can be miniaturized, I'm sure it's on the way, because your requirement, I'm sure it's a very genuine requirement, and it already exists for everybody. So I'm sure it's going to happen in the very near future.
Yeah, I'll chip in here if you don't mind.
Sure.
We have clients, I can think of an FPSO operator in West Africa who is using laser scanning for thickness measurements.
Yeah.
So it's happening. It's happening in real time. Now, obviously, this is a convention that's talking about diving, not applicable at the moment underwater.
Right.
But it is happening for cargo tanks, ballast tanks, and so on.
Yeah.
So that's quite exciting.
It is. I think what's most exciting is you see all the panels here. It's all intertwined. This whole industry. So, it's trying to make deals now. But anybody else before we break for lunch, and thank you. Well, I guess it's lunchtime then. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you. I enjoyed that. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Request you all to kindly stay on your seats just for 2 minutes, as we have a certification ceremony as well. That was indeed an interesting discussion. Hope you all had a productive day today. With this, we have come to the end of our conference session today. To present token of acknowledgement to our moderators and speakers, I would like to call upon stage Dr. Sohan Roy. First, I would like to call upon our moderator of the conference, Captain Deepak Singh, COO, Marine and Survey Division, Aries Group, to kindly join us on stage. Congratulations, Captain Deepak. Next, I would like to call upon our panel discussion moderator, Mr. Sivaratnam, to kindly join us on stage and accept the certificate. A round of applause, please. Thank you. Next, I would like to call upon Captain Nicholas Saxena, Marine Surveyor in Shape Marine Survey and Inspection, on stage to receive his certificate. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Chris Greenwood, Director of Regional Business Development, ABS, to join us to accept his certificate. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to call Mr. Rakesh Mangera, Division Manager, Marine Subsea of Unique Group, to please join us. Thank you. Now I request Ms. Jovana Sokolovic, Head of Innovation, Smart Dives, to kindly join us to accept the certificate. Thank you. And finally, I request Ms. Naveen Nair, DGM Technical, Aries Marine, to kindly join us to accept the certificate. Thank you. Sir, could I get a group photo of all the panelists, please? With the certificates, please. Thank you.
No, I'm not removing them. I'm going to keep it on.
Thank you very much. A good event never ends in the world. It just takes a pause and keeps us waiting for the next. Before we say goodbye and end today's event, let me call on stage Mr. Ashish Gaba, COO Events Biz Event Management, for a word of thanks. A round of applause, please.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for comparing a wonderful session today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a lovely audience and for your patience. I know it's lunchtime, but I would like to thank on behalf of my team. I would like to thank Dr. Sohan Roy for his time and for his presence for all our events and his support. I would like to thank His Excellency Kames Juma Buamim. He is not here right now, but I thank him. And thanks to Mr. Sultan Saif Sultan for his presence over here today and make this event a memorable one. I thank all the delegates who have taken out time today and be present over here for our event. I thank our supporting organizations, the Emirates Driving Association, EDA, and DCMMI. And a special thank goes to our media partners who make sure they support us for all our event and cover our event. Thank you everyone. The lunch has been served on the backside of this ballroom, and hope you have a good lunchtime and have a safe drive home. Thank you everyone, and the upcoming events will be shared with you on your emails. We hope to see you there. Thank you everyone. Thanks for a wonderful event. Thank you.